Good afternoon, students.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
The screen is whether it is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I think last time we left at this particular point when the strategic planning is being considered, then we have to also look into whether growth as well as downsizing can be made. And when it comes to the growth strategies, of course, we normally apply ANSOP product market matrix, right? So as like we saw at the BCG matrix, same as that we can look into here. That is called as product market expansion grid. Expansion. When it called as expansion, then of course it is meant for a growth. And here we have seen about what sort of growth that could be possible. So market penetration is there, product development, market development, and diversification. So, except for diversification, other areas, of course, that we are either known with the product or we are known with the market. But of course, when it comes to the diversification only, it is, of course, a very new one. We are with a new product and new market that we are moving into. But anyway, all of these strategies can be said to be a growth strategies, right? So I have already explained you what is meant by that. And apart from that, now you can relate this with the BCG matrix of the dogs situation. Where was the dog having about a relative lower market share as well as in the market growth also they had a lower situation or lower status where that under that condition I have already told you the organization have to benefit by downsizing the businesses or maybe closing or terminating those businesses. Otherwise, what will happen is the losses that incur will keep on increasing, and ultimately, the organization or maybe the particular business will have a huge loss. So, rather than, facing about the situation as that, we can close it, or we can terminate it, or we can downsize it, right? So, all of the terminologies that are being used is mentioned for same purpose, right? So downsizing means that you are going to reduce about the business, right? Which is not appropriate in the portfolio. Now, portfolio, of course, as per the BCG matrix, we know question marks are there, stars are there, cash cows are there, and of course, the dogs are also there. Therefore, it is very essential for an organization to maintain a good portfolio. What is meant by portfolio in the sense? In that diagram itself, I showed you some of the businesses are in the dog, some are in the star, some are in the question, and some are, of course, in the cash. So, you may be asking why it is necessitated that the business to be scattered in all of these quadrants. Of course, that is wanted. For the reason now, if you have cash cows only, you can generate more income or more cash can be generated without expenditure. We know the reason why. At the same time, if you have in stars also, the stars are more prosperous or more potential prosperous businesses, right? For future, they can turn into cash cows, right? Of holding about more market share. At the same time, when the market growth rate comes down, also it is not an issue where that they can fall into a cash cow. So. The cash cows which that you are already there will be built in the sense now you are using the cash. So when you keep on using those cash, what will happen is that will evaporate in the sense that that will go away. So those businesses may not be good businesses for the future for us to depend on, for the reason that the growth rate is not there. No, so suppose if the market share also reduces, then of course we cannot depend on those type of businesses. So we have to depend on the star business. So star businesses in the future may turn into cash businesses, right, or cash cow businesses. At the same time, when there is question marks also, businesses in the question marks also, that will have a tendency of moving to the star. So why we said that to be a question mark? The growth is there, but thing is the relative market share had been lower, right? So therefore, there is about the possibility for us by more investing, more concentrating on the marketplace, those businesses to turn into stars, right? Again, for the coming future, those stars will be turning into cash cow. Of course, there are chances for those businesses to fall into dogs also. Don't always expect that it will move in the same direction. Okay, there is chances. Suppose question marks businesses, if they are unable to capture the market, relative market to be more, then of course, when in the case of market growth coming down, they will automatically turn into a dog quadrant. That is, the dog is not a prosperous businesses an organization can have it. Right. So, in case when the businesses turn into dog quadrant, right? What I was wanted to emphasize is that there have to be a portfolio. Some in question mark, some businesses in the star quadrant, and some of the businesses to be in the cash cow. Of course, one or two you can have in the dog also, where that you have to eliminate. So, if the businesses are doing not well, then we have to eliminate them. So, eliminating maybe the products or the business units which are not profitable and which cannot be long enough for an organization in their strategy, right? So, in that case, you have to downsize it. Have you understood this particular point? Downsizing, growth, right? Mostly it is related with the BCG matrix. Lokka, Varan. Right? Have you understood the particular point? The downsizing with the expansion. So, more often that we can relate the product market expansion grid with the BCG matrix. So, BCG matrix will be giving us an idea where do these business, SBUs or strategic business units are standing. And now, if we wanted to go for the strategies as penetration, market development, product development, or diversification, right? Where for which businesses that we have to apply over. Have you got that one? Say yes or no.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Then we move into the partnering. Right, so by partnering mainly we are wanted to build about a customer relationship, right? Not only customer relationship, but of course I was earlier also showing about this value chain. So value chain is where that we identify the activities that take place in the organization. Activities which are taking place in the organization. Those activities have been divided as primary activities and supporting activities. We know in the primary activities, inbound logistic, operation, outbound logistics, sales, right? And sales marketing also comes into play, right? So that is what the business normally does. That is the cooperation. But of course, for this cooperation, we wanted supporting activities as it can be procurement, it can be the technology we are using, and the human resources, and of course the infrastructure, right? So these activities. um, okay. Right. Those activities, as that we classify into primary and supporting activities, that is the thing that we have to focus over, because those activities will help us to create value. I have already told you an example how value can be created. At the same time, those activities are only making us to incur with expenditures or cost, right? So it is up to us, or up to the marketers as well as the organization, to manage it, how that they can create value by those activities, at the same time to look into the expenditure, right? So for this, we really wanted the value chain. And very particularly when we're moving into the value delivery network, normally, if you see a business cycle or the business chain, uh, of course, that we have already seen that, we know that there is suppliers. From suppliers only, the organization can get the raw materials or some supporting services, right? So there are suppliers. At the same time, organization has to produce it. That is, the manufacturing process has to be done. Then it has to go to the distributors. So there are separate entities, like suppliers to be one entity. Organization who does the sense, those customers to be said to be organizational customers. So organizational customers, they purchase your product, they use it for the production, or they try to resell it to another person. At the same time, if in case that to be the government consumers, they purchase those products in order to serve the public, right? So, at the ultimate or at the end of the particular chain, being customers, they can be final consumers. At the same time, they can be also organizational consumers. So, in case if it is an organizational consumers, then they are also said to be another entity. So, throughout this chain, from supplier to the organization that we are doing about the marketing, from here it goes to the distributor, that is also to be an organization, and of course that ultimately result or moving up to the final consumers, or maybe organizational consumers. So this is said to be a value delivery network, or sometimes you would have heard about like supply chain management, right? So it is equivalent to that. Now, see, companies are there, suppliers are there, distributors are there, and customers are also there, right? So this is, of course, said to be organizational setup which is connected, right? So this is how the delivery happens. Raw materials go to the organization. There it turn into final product. Then it goes to the distributors. Again from the distributors it moves into. So though that we early identified the value chain for our organization, value chain having about two activities. One to be the primary activities, at the same time supporting activities. Similar way, the suppliers are also having a value chain. So suppliers also organization. No? So they also will be having a value chain where in that also primary activities would be there, at the same time supporting activities. Again, if you move down to the distributors also, they are also organization. They also have the value chain. Okay, value chain as supporting primary activities. And in case if it is an organizational consumer at the final end, then also we have a value chain. Okay. Now these value chains are connected. That is what we call them as value delivery network. Have you understood this point? But no answer. Value delivery network, supply chain of a supplier, value chain of the supplier, value chain of the organization, value chain of the distributor, and value chain of the consumer. So all these chains are bit connected. That is where we say it as a value delivery network. Have you got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So with this organization, now since that we know all are connected, no? So we have to have a partnering with them. The requirement of the partnering, now you will understand. We depend on the suppliers for the raw materials to reach our place in the correct time, at the correct price, at the correct quality. Right? Not only that, we also depend on the distributors to get our product and to give prominence to our product and have more promotional activities to take for our product, and that to be sold to the consumers and the sales to be increased with. So we depend on the distributor. If we are dealing with, of course, a direct way to the consumers, then we also have to have a good partnering. So there have to be good relationship. By relationship, we are able to maintain about the sustainability. And marketing also the same thing. Not only selling the product at one time, right? Getting about the income. By selling the product, that you have to create a good relationship. Now, suppose if you go to a boutique, first time you go, and the way that they are treating about you, you will get attracted with, right? Not with the price, of course, but how that now say if you have gone to buy saris, right? Now sometimes what happens is they put all the saris out, so we are unable to leave and come that without purchasing at least one. To that extent, they will be moving on. Right? So they dedicate themselves to show whatever that they are having and to understand your taste, and according to taste to select about the colors, to select about the texture, many things, right? So this will be creating about, so though that you have bought one of the saris, but next time what you will do is you will try to move to the particular boutique, or you will convey this to your friends or maybe your relatives to go to that boutique to purchase it, right? So that is what we have to have as a marketers to create a good relationship. Sometimes they may be knowing your birthday. Now say if you deposit in the bank, on your birthday, they call and wish you. They send a card, sometimes a small present they try to give you. Right? Why these activities are taking place? It is because that there have to be a good relationship. So one marketer will be having a good relationship for which that we cannot shift from that marketer to another person. That means we cannot shift from one competitor to another competitor. By this relationship only, most of the time we are being blocked. Like as consumers, we are being blocked of not shifting, right? That is switching doesn't happen. Switching, right? We don't switch from one competitor to another competitor because that relationship is being created by them, right? So similar way for the consumers that we do about the suppliers also, we have to have a good relationship for the reason that suppliers are not only suppliers for yourself, no, for your organization. They are supply, they are having raw materials, so they have to have more customers. They will have organizational customers, right? So one of the organization customer is you as an organization. Similar way, your competitors also will be customers to the suppliers. So, if we are not having a good relationship with the suppliers, what will happen? Suppliers may not give the raw materials at the correct time. They may not give it at the price that you wanted. They can raise the price, right? Increase the price for yourself. And also, there may be some discounts or some transportation facilities, storage facilities, many things the suppliers can do for you if you have about a good relationship. So, partnering is very important. So, we have seen with suppliers, we have to partner, and with the distributors. Why distributors? Again, distributors are also not only selling your product, they are selling many competitors' product. So, out of those many, you must try to make them to get convinced with your product and buy your product and also shelf it in the very attractive places, more space to be provided. To that extent, you have to build a good relationship, then only the distributors will be there with you, right? So all those what you call value chains have to get connected with, right? So that is only meant by this value delivery network, right? And just if you look into the particular organization as a marketing, right, the customer value as well as the relationship when it is created, how it can happen is how that you are dealing with the market, right? This is of course again the strategy we will be studying lately, right? You segmentize the market, you target the market, you differentiate, and you position yourself, right? So that is done. And how it is done is through the marketing mix. Now the marketing mix is being given here as 4 P's. Of course this is 4 P's is applicable for the product. In case if it is a service, then you have to have additional 3 P's, right? So that is called as one to be the process, other one to be the people, and the next one to be the physical evidences, right? So those are additional 4 P's wanted. With these four, we have an additional 3 pieces connected when you are marketing about the services, right? So therefore, in case of services, there will be three additional piece, right? So that is altogether we call them as 7 piece, right? So that is for the services. So that is happening through the marketing mix. Then of course we have to keep on always, right, analyzing about the environment. That is marketing analysis is done. Then we plan according to that. Then the plans are being implemented, and we have to have a controlling. right? And this is with a connection with the marketing intermediaries, right? That is the distributors, the competitors, publics, and suppliers. This is called to be the marketing environment. Now, next section is this that we are going to study about, right? The marketing environment. So, this is the full picture of the marketing connected with marketing mix, right? Right. So we said that market segmenting, right? What is meant by that? We know that we are dividing the market of using some variables so that as a resultant we can get a market where the consumers are almost having the similarity, right? Similar needs as well as similar characters, right? And behavior, whatever that we really wanted with, because customization is there. Customization means you are customizing your product for each person, right? But of course, in reality, it is very, very difficult. Customization, when it is taking place, then of course, customers will be happy because they are getting, of course, the product exclusively for them. Right now, say getting about a vehicle which is being produced for your requirement, something like that, exclusively. That is called as customization. But customization, of course, is very, very difficult, right, for the organizations to do it. So therefore, that they try to find out customers who are having similar requirements, right? Similar requirements, similar characters, similar buying process, as well as similar behavior, right? So for that they have to divide the market using about some variables. Now, say if you divide it by gender, so you get two markets as females and male. So almost females are having the same character and the males also having about the same character. Of course, within that there are differences, of course, that we have to accept that, but still that we divide it so that the resultant of that division will be treated as having the similarity, right? So that is what is done by market segmentation. Of course, as I said, lately we are going to study about this very detailedly, so don't worry, right? So market segmentation is there. Market target is things that we know there are different markets. Now, in case of the example I specified earlier, we have now two markets, right? A male market and female market, right? So we have to now see which market is having about attractiveness, and based on that we can select one of them, or that we can even go for those two markets, but we have to have different marketing programs with the same marketing strategy. We cannot approach the other segment because other segments characters are different, right? So with a similar marketing strategy or the marketing plan, marketing plan is going to consist of marketing mix. That four P's will be there, right? So with that, approaching the other one may not be possible. So we have to have different marketing programs. So since now, as per the example, we got two segments, and for those two segments, either one that you can have a selection. But in case if you are going to go for two segments, well and good, but you have to have two separate programs, two separate marketing plans that you have to have. Those marketing plans will consist of marketing mix, right? So, what is the price that you are going to give? What is the product you are going to give? What sort of distribution? What sort of promotion? So, this will be that, right? So, with the marketing mix, you are trying to approach the particular market, or that is called as a target market. And of course, that we have seen about these four P's, right? So these are the elements of four P's. If you take a product, variety, quality, whatever, places, channels, coverage. assortment, right? Now, this is also, again, we are going to repeat separately. So, these are going to turn into what you call separate chapters, individual chapters. So, at that time, we will have a detailed look at it. And also, we said we have to first analyze and then do about the planning, then coming into the implementation as well as the control, right? And we also know that, right, by the analysis of the environment, we get about strengths and weaknesses as the internal environment, and opportunities and threat with the outside environment or external environment. So what we have to do is regarding of the strength, right? The strength will help the organization to reach about the objective. So by strength, we must try to get a advantage over the opportunities. So here, opportunities are said to be factors, external factors that may be supporting the organization, right? So therefore, by strength that we can get, we must use about the opportunities. Weakness, of course, some limitation that the organization is having, which if it is be there, then of course it is very problematic for the attainment of objectives. So you have to get rid of it. By strength also you can get rid of it. At the same time, with opportunities also, you must try to correct your weaknesses that we are having. Threat, of course, is coming from the external environment, where that it is giving about more challenges. So what we have to do is by strength that we must try to cut short, or by opportunities, we must also try to face about the threat, right? So, in a marketing plan, right, since that we are talking about the market planning, so in the marketing plan, you will have these things, right? There will be an executive summary, right? A marketing situation. So, in that, threats and opportunities would be identified. Then objectives have been formulated, and then thereafter marketing strategies, then the action programs, budgets, as well as control. So this is how the marketing plan will be devised, or the marketing plan will have components, right? So these components are said to be very important. So as an executive, that we have to know about the components or the elements of that, and according to that, the analysis will be done. And through this analysis, these sort of what you call finding of information has to be presented in a very attractive way. Right. So implementation, marketing implementation, we have to not only have plans, we have to turn those plans into action, and that action only will help the organization to attain the objective. So having about a plan doesn't mean that attainment of marketing objectives. Those plans have to turn into marketing actions, right? Very important action. In these actions only will help an organization to attain about the objectives, right? Now for this implementation, there are many things wanted. We wanted people, we wanted organizational structure, decisions that has to be made, reward systems, because people have been involved in carrying out the task, so they have to be rewarded in order to make these the plans successful. And even the company culture is very important, because based on the culture, many things have been built within the organization itself. So culture is very important, and there have to be a cohesive action plan, right? So there are different plans. Marketing plans are there, financial plans are there, HR plans are there, R&D plans are there. So everything have to get cohesive with each other, so that there is an attainment of organization's objective, right? And when it comes to the, regarding of this implementation, we were talking about the structure. right? So these are the structures that is available in organization. It can be functional organization where the structure is being built on function. So there will be finance, HR, marketing, R&D, maybe project or something like that. That's how functional. Geographical organization, since these organizations have to operate in different locations, then it may be divided into geographical area. Like if you take about the Sri Lankan context, so it may be divided according to the direction north, east, west, south, something like that, right? So under that, you will get a functional organization. Product management organization, some of the organizations are not based on functions or neither not on the geographical area. It is based on the product that they are. So as an example, I told you, if it comes to Cargills or Kills or maybe Richard Peary's, you name it, number of organizations, they go by product. What is the product that they have about? So, product of what do you call rubber, or product of tire, right? Product of mattress, product of insurance, product of real estate, right? So it goes by product. Some, of course, will going by market and customer management, right? So they identify the customers as people to be served, right? Sometimes, if you take about the customers also or market also, there may be different markets, right? Market may be requiring about a lower quality products. Some market may be requiring about high quality products, right? So that can be one thing. Even if you take a customer, then customer can be final consumer, organization, or consumer. So therefore, based on that, you can have a selection of the organizational structure. So that is called as departmental one. And then finally, you can see the marketing control. So control, of course, is very essential because we have to know whether the marketing plans have worked well, right? It doesn't mean that when you are devising about a market plan that would be successful, we have to really turn them into action and then finally see whether those actions have met the organizational objectives, right? So for that process, that the happening process, that we can call it as a controlling. So it can be like operational control and strategic control. Operational control means the activities that is taking place within. Strategical control means it is connected with the environment, again about the direction or objectives of the organization. So there can be two controlling one. Then we have to also know about the marketing ROI, that is return on marketing investment, how much that we have invested in the marketing activities, whether that we are yielding or whether we are getting about appropriate returns over that, right? So normally, the net return from the marketing investment, right? What is the return that way is really divided by the cost of the marketing investment, right? So that is how the ROI of marketing ROI is being identified, and we can see for the cost whether that we have had about more benefit, right? So cost is the return is being put up as well as the cost is being the sub factor dividing about. So we must by this we are very it would be easier for us to know about whether how much of return that we are getting. Okay, so this is the end of what? Company and marketing strategy. Okay. So now we will move into the third chapter. Give me a 5 minutes break. Huh? was from the what you call figure I was earlier showing. So that is the what you that is the first area that we have to see about. That is lying out of the organization or maybe the process of the organization, the outer area. So the outer area is where that we have to do our operation. So our operation does not mean determined by ourselves, right? We cannot determine those operation by ourselves. But by looking into the environment only, the decisions have to be made because that is governing. The environment is governing, or the environment is having impact on the activities that we are supposed to do. So what we are supposed to do, we have to segmentize the market, we have to target the market, we have to position, we have to differentiate, we have to use about the marketing mix, we have to do the planning, implement, right, and have about the controls. All of these activities have to be done, but in what way that we are going to do, how that we are going to do, is really determined by the environment. So environment plays about a major role. So in that context, the marketing environment has to be looked. So we are very specifically looking into marketing environment, but whatever it is being said, the environment remains the same for even if you are studying management, if you are studying HR, or if you are studying organizations behavior, whatever, the environment is going to be remain to be the same. But anyway, for our exclusive area that we are studying, we are naming that to be the marketing environment for a easier identification, right? Now, now, what is meant by marketing environment? Is the marketing terms that refers about the factors and forces really affect about the firm's ability to build and maintain successful relationship with customers. That is creating about the value and building about the relationship is the ultimate objective any organization going to attain with, but uh, of attaining that, or in order to attain that, it has to look into many factors, right? So there are factors, forces, which may have hindrance or support as well as hindrance for the particular organization or for the marketer's ability to build our ultimate objective, right? So that is how we are describing about the marketing environment. If you look at the marketing environment elements, because elements are very essential for us to look in. So we have internal environment, that is of course the organization, right? So organization, people, policies, structures, or it can be the culture, right? Many things that we have seen within the organization. But outside of the organization, there is that is called the external environment. For more understanding as well as depending on the what do you call the aggressive impact, right? It is been divided into two as micro environment and macro environment. Micro environment elements or forces have an immediate impact on the organizational activities. From the diagram itself also, you will see it is very immediate, right? The organization is this very immediate environment is a micro environment. So it has forces that is affecting mostly the actions that are taken by. But of course, we cannot avoid about the macro environment. That's a big one. It's a larger environment. It is also having an impact, but of course, these impacts are not directly affecting the organization. It has an indirect effect. Most of the time, it has an indirect effect, where first it affects about the micro environment, and then it goes into having an influence over the organization, that is the internal environment. Okay, so for our concern, this micro environment is said to be very immediate, or in some instances, it has been called as a task environment, right? Micro or task environment. Alternative names have been used. Some of the marketing books, if you refer that, they may specify that by task environment. So, what is task or if it is a microenvironment? The forces which are closer to the company, already I have shown that in the diagram, which affects about the ability, right? So, this is as an organization, we have to serve, right? So, to whom that services have to be provided, or to whom that we have to give about the product, can be customers, and also as an organization we have to take care about the employees, suppliers. We have to really have a relationship, we have already told, and the distribution firm, and the customer markets, and also competitors as well as public, right? So these are the very important people, or very important elements, right, or forces which is having an influence on the organization, right? Customers, employees, right? The employees, of course, will be falling into organization, the suppliers, distributors, you name it, right? So this macro environment have a direct impact on the organization, right? Again, what I was earlier telling about, macro environment or task environment, as it is closer to the organization or very immediate to the organization, it has a direct impact, right? And of course, this environment is not in the control of organization. You cannot control. You cannot control the customer. You cannot control the supplier, right? You cannot control the public, right? Whoever or whatever elements which is having operations in that, or having what you call influences on that, you cannot put into your control, or try to devise it according to your wish, right? You cannot have a control over that, right? And so there is about the influences that we are going to take into. So the business can influence that. I mean, business can influence in the sense not to always say that they can have some what do you call have some impact shown into the environment, but of course the environment is going to show about the impact on the businesses. Sometimes even businesses to a certain extent can have about some sort of an influence over the environment, right? So, but most of the time, this is true. That is, it is not under the control of any businesses or any organization. Now, see about the components of microenvironment, right? Now you see there are customers, suppliers, public, marketing intermediaries or distributors, and competitors. So these are the elements. So first we will move into the very important one, that to be the customer. So who are the customers? They are, of course, the people who purchase the products or goods from the a particular organization, or maybe your organization, right? And therefore, that the organization or company have the responsibility to study about the customers very closely for the reason that these people may be different from each other. That is why that we are using about market segments. I've already told you. So people are not, though that we are having target markets. So we are dividing the market into segments and calling for segments. But the thing is, customers are not similar with each other, right? So it's very difficult. Even though that we are coming from the same family, our behaviors are not similar. Sometimes, if you see the twins, right, who are born as twins, though that by appearance that they may be looked as similar, but their actions could be different with, right? So we have to really understand about or really know about the customers. We have to have a close monitoring of the customers that we are dealing with. Right? And of course, if you see about the customer market, this is where I said if you go more deeper into the market or the types of market, then it is there for us to look into more types of market. But basically, we divide these into two: one to be the customer market, and other one to be organizational market. And organizational market, you have about business market, reseller market, MS42. Students, I am getting annoyed of you. Huh? Surely I am winding up, and I won't anymore take lectures for you. Showing them about the plate and what is this? MS42.